Welcome to part 2 of the rise to power of Comanche MC. If you missed part 1, here's a quick recap. After Nadim's brother was deported from Denmark, Nadim took over leadership of the street gang VHK, a group with deep connections and friendships among several members of the Hells Angels. However, tension erupted when the Hells Angels declared open war on immigrant gangs by putting out the Jackal Manifesto, putting Nadim and VHK in a tight spot due to their alliance with the Angels.
Hells Angels gik i dag til angreb på araber og muslimer ved at lægge et manifest ud, hvor de blæser til kamp mod det, som HA kalder chakaler.
Det manifest er lagt ud i pressen, fordi vi nu i et år har hørt på, at man påstår, at det her handler om narkokrig, og så tænker vi nu er det nok. Og derfor har vi lagt manifestet ud, så er der ikke nogen tvivl om, hvad det er, vi er trætte af, og som øvrigt også de fleste danskere er trætte af.
This triggered a violent conflict that saw VHK caught in the crossfire, with lives lost on all sides. VHK, a gang made up of both ethnic Danes and immigrants, found themselves branded as traitors by other street gangs. The biggest of these gangs, loyal to Familia, publicly declared war on VHK, escalating the conflict even further. As an answer to the street gang's numbers, Hells Angels started a boxing club, led by Brian Sandberg, that would eventually become AK-81, a support gang for the Angels. With mounting pressure from all sides, VHK now seeks full membership in the Hells Angels, hoping to be recognized as a new chapter. This is Biker History with Magnus. As VHK and Nadim petition to become a new Hells Angels chapter, they undergo scrutiny from the organization, but most of the Angels are in favor of bringing them in as a new chapter.
De er kun med i denne konflikt på grund af, faktisk, at de er loyale over for os. Og der er en fra HA, der siger, sådan her, jamen, vi skal bare tænke på os selv, og vi skal tænke på vores klub. Så det andet, det må komme i anden række.
Paulson and others are outraged by this setback, but find there's little they can do. Instead, VHK are offered a chance to become part of a support club. This disappointing rejection by their old friends and allies profoundly affects Nadim and VHK. Now isolated, they're up against other gangs in Copenhagen, which have joined forces as a formidable group named Loyal to Familia that surrounds VHK on all sides. Modeled after motorcycle clubs, LTF establishes itself with patches and emblems, and LTF's leader, Shuaib Khan, states publicly that they have no conflicts with other gangs, only VHK. LTF grows so rapidly in manpower, influence, and power that it soon poses a serious threat to Hells Angels and becoming many times the size of VHK.
Jeg kan jo mærke, der sker en optrapning i ungdomsgrupperne herude, og på mange var jeg sådan på kram, og da jeg kunne mærke den første gang, at når jeg skulle kramme, så var det en skudsikker vest, jeg krammede.
Another murder occurs, intensifying the cycle of revenge that fuels this escalating conflict.
Så kunne jeg godt fornemme, at nu var det begyndt at blive rigtig alvorligt.
In Norebro, Paulson now plans an assault on the immigrant gangs. He orchestrates 2 false police alarms to divert Copenhagen's police force far from Norebro, leaving the area unguarded. Disguised in a wig, Paulson drives into Norebro, determined to find a target. Without a specific victim, he aims to shoot someone who looks the part and tragically fires at a random, innocent person unconnected to any gang.
Jeg ramte ham 5 gange, og han overlevede heldigvis.
Hvorfor skyder du mod en mand, som du ikke ved, hvem er, og du ikke ved, om han har et tilhørsforhold?
Ja, det er et rigtig godt spørgsmål. Og han ligner en af dem, vi er i konflikt med. Rigtig meget.
Paulson is ultimately apprehended when an HA apprentice reports the incident to the police, leading to a major case against HA that results in significant prison sentences for several members. 15 members of AK-81 and HA face charges, with Paulson also accused of attempting to murder Little A leader in the Blackguardsplads gang. Paulson receives a 12-year sentence for attempted murder, and 15 others face various convictions, though only 2 are full HA members, The rest are hangarounds eager to impress their biker mentors. Faced with this setback, Nadim saw an opportunity to carve out a new path and launch a fresh chapter in the history of Danish biker culture. Under his leadership, the group rebranded in 2013 as the Dutch club Satudara MC, a biker club known both for its open acceptance of diverse ethnicities and its reputation for criminal activities and brutal violence. Nadim, along with former Hells Angels member Ole Bonnesen, took charge of Satudara and soon recruited another ex-HA member, Svein Svein Holst, a bearer of the filthy few patch when he was an Angel. As president, Nadim set his sights on making Satudara the largest biker club in Denmark, and it wasn't long before they clashed with the Hells Angels. Around the same time, Paulsen was expelled from the Hells Angels, following a psychotic episode induced by cannabis use, a strict violation of the club's prison conduct rules. Feeling betrayed by the club he had sacrificed so much for, Paulsen now faced a long prison sentence, grappling with the disillusionment of his former loyalty. The war between Satudara and the Hells Angels ignited when an AK-81 member insulted them as a mere street gang at a local pub.
Helt enkelt, så der to folk, der går forbi hinanden, og lige pludselig så udbryder der noget, der mest af alt minder om et western-slagsmål. Det starter inde på værtshuset, fortsætter ude på gaden, og der bliver også affyret skydevåben.
I've covered this in detail in a previous video, so I won't delve into it here, except to say that the confrontation became known as the Six-Day War.
Siden masseslagsmålet ved parken i København i weekenden, er flere personer med rockerrelationer forsøgt kørt ned på åben gade.
Before Ole Bonnesen sues for peace. HA and Bandidos has 3 demands for them. They must not open more chapters, refrain from recruiting HA or Bandidos members, and avoid any aggressive behavior. Satudara adheres to this agreement for 9 months, but then breaks all 3 conditions, growing rapidly from a handful of members to over 200 in record time. Hells Angels remain silent, keeping a low profile which puts Satudara in the spotlight, landing them in the authorities' crosshairs. After being expelled from HA, a discontented Paulsen joins the new club that his childhood friends have started.
Dagen inden jeg melder mig ind, der ringer jeg rundt til nogle HA-medlemmer, som jeg har været tæt på, og siger, prøv her, jeg synes bare, du skal høre det fra mig. Så siger jeg, starter i Satudara. Det kan godt være, at det ikke er det, I ønsker, men I skal også forstå, at de her venner, det er mine barndomskammerater. Så siger jeg også til den ene, inden jeg afslutter, siger, du ved godt, alt det, der er Satudara i dag, det kunne have været HA, hvis I ikke har taget de valg, I gjorde. Så sagde jeg, den, jeg ved det godt.
Several of the leading figures in the new club has many years of experience as bikers and criminals, making them a formidable new force in Denmark's underworld, taking over many of the businesses of both the Angels and the Bandidos. Brian Sandberg, the man who founded AK-81 for the Hells Angels, has been expelled from the club in bad standing for the second time, after reportedly flirting with the girlfriends of other members, not a smart thing to do in the biker community.
Jeg blev ringet op af min afdeling, og de kom faktisk hjem til min bogpæl, og der fik jeg bare besked om, at bedre var fyldt over nu, og der havde været en mulige små episoder, og udnytte klubbens navn på den måde ved at, uden at tænke mig om, at rende rundt og lave ballade inde i byen, og var hermed smidt ud i bad standing.
Når du er i bad standing, så er du bare sådan en, man kan gøre mere eller mindre alt ved.
Now, he begins to spend time with Little A, the leader of the immigrant gang Blackguards Plaids, one of Copenhagen's most powerful groups.
Så henvender han sig, kommer han herned med 100 km i timen jo. Så han kunne føle sig, hvad kan man sige, rimelig godt beskyttet hernede.
Sandberg likely sought out this alliance for his own protection, fearing for his life. In return, he provided Blackguards Plaids with insider knowledge of Hells Angels, operations and interests.
Og så kom han og hang her sammen med os hver dag. Svinede HR'erne til og fortalte os, hvem der havde de forskellige roller, og du ved.
Han har også et kendskab til, hvor mange ressourcer de har, hvor meget mandskab har de, så videre.
Der var det jo ham, der gav også information om det ene og det andet, og hvem der holdt møde i hvert fald nogle lejligheder, og så videre, og så videre.
Little A, known for his strict interpretation of the Quran and support for Sharia law, even encouraged Sandberg, now without a club, to study along with him, something he does. But when Sandberg is offered a chance to join the Bandidos, Hell's Angels' rival club, he quickly leaves his new allies behind and returns to the biker life, only to be expelled from the Bandidos as well after just 6 months. This was his third expulsion from a major biker club within a short period of time, which may well be some kind of record for bad standing for one single person in the biker world. Today, Sandberg has removed all his biker tattoos and now delivers lectures on his years as a 1%er biker in 2 of Denmark's biggest motorcycle clubs. In August 2016, Satudera made headlines across the media once again when the dismembered body of one of their members, Kevin Joel Anderson, was discovered in a forest by a man walking his dog. Anderson had a criminal record himself, previously convicted of kidnapping a man for several hours and extorting him for 500,000 kroner. He was a longtime member of Satudera, wearing the VHK patch proudly on his vest. On the night of his death, Anderson, along with a 21-year-old companion, had visited the home of a man named Darko, who was of Serbian descent. The visit was likely related to a drug deal that took a fatal turn. According to Darko, an argument broke out over betting debts, leading him to stab Anderson 45 times in what he claimed was self-defense. Witnessing the brutal attack, the 21-year-old was forced into a horrifying predicament. Darko, unable to risk any witnesses, coerced him into helping dismember his friend's body in the bathroom, keeping him captive for several days.
Den 21-årige bliver jo bragt i et helt ufatteligt dilemma i denne her lejlighed. Han har jo set sin ven blive dræbt. Han bliver bedt om at medvirke til at slæbe livet ud på et i øvrigt meget lille badeværelse i en lejlighed. Og da han så sidder derinde, så bliver han bedt om at partere sin ven, så han passer ned i en kuffert.
The days that followed were a nightmare for the 21-year-old.
Vi kan godt gå ud fra, at den 21-årige er klar over, at hvis han nægter at gøre, som han bliver bedt om, jamen så vil det formentlig koste ham hans eget liv. Så han kan vælge imellem at gøre noget næsten ubeskriveligt, eller vælge selv at dø.
Den 21-årige, han vælger at gøre, som han får besked på. Og parteringen foregår hen over natten samme dag, som Kevin Joel Andersen er blevet slået ihjel.
Who was locked in the apartment with his friend's remains in a nearby room. During this period, 3 masked men arrived at the apartment, speaking to Darko in a language the 21-year-old didn't understand before disappearing soon after.
Der er så nogle hypoteser, der ligesom bliver bygget ud fra de her fakta. De personer har både håndteret det her narko, altså de har fjernet narkoen fra stedet af, og samtidig så har de nok også spillet en rolle i at fjerne de ligedele, der var i lejligheden.
Finally, Darko drove him to a train station and, astonishingly, let him go. Traumatized and injured, the young man didn't go directly to the police. They were only contacted after he sought treatment at an emergency room for his injuries.
Da politiet trænger ind i hans lejlighed for at anholde ham, jamen så får de et lille indblik i nogle af de modbydeligheder, der er foregået i denne her lejlighed.
Kevin Joel Andersens kæreste, hun har noget familie her i området, så hun er i en af de andre bygninger i den her gård. Og der kan hun se, at politiet arbejder på stedet og ved Darko Petchets lejlighed. Så ved hun, at den er helt gal.
Though Darko was not affiliated with any specific gang, police viewed him as a freelance criminal with ties to the Serbian mafia. Prosecutors argued that Darko had killed Anderson and stolen the drugs he had intended to sell to him. They suspected the 3 men who visited the apartment had helped Darko remove both the drugs and Anderson's remains. This theory was reinforced by the fact that Darko couldn't tell police where Anderson's body was hidden. Ultimately, Darko was convicted of the murder and sentenced to 16 years in prison. The funeral of Anderson becomes a powerful show of force for Satudera. Top leaders from around the world, including the founding chapter in the Netherlands, gather with hundreds of members from across Europe. It's a clear signal to the Bandidos and the Angels. We are here, and we are many. The Ferrari incident from years prior, when Nadim extorted money for a Ferrari from an individual as a form of payment, has now come back to haunt him. The victim was subjected to violence and threatened with a gun, resulting in Nadim's conviction for 18 months in prison. However, Nadim fails to appear for his sentence, fleeing the country and becoming the subject of an international warrant. During his time on the run, Nadim becomes a nomad, traveling across countries to recruit and establish new Satudara chapters. He contributes to the founding of chapters in Serbia and Spain, which later will play a significant role, and he even extends Satudara's reach by setting up new branches across Asia. In 2017 and 2018, Satudara, along with its founding chapter, faces bans in the Netherlands and Germany, forcing the organization underground in these countries. This development amplifies the influence of the Danish members, especially Nadim, as recruitment now largely falls under Danish leadership. Denmark sees the rapid establishment of new chapters, distinguished by a Danish flag on the members' vests. As Danish influence grows, many Satudara leaders now report back to Denmark, marking an effective shift in the organization's command. Nadim and the Danish chapters have, in practice, taken the reins. Nadim Khan is finally arrested in Spain in 2018 by chance, stopped at a routine traffic checkpoint. He is quickly extradited to Denmark and transferred to a prison to serve his sentence. Satudara has now set its sights on Christiania, a place where cannabis has been sold openly for decades and which has largely been under the control of the Hells Angels. Originally, the cannabis trade in Christiania was managed by the Bullshit MC, but Hells Angels took over in the 1980s when they all but wiped out their rivals, effectively disbanding them. For years, no one dared to challenge the Angels' dominance there, but this was about to change. In a bold move, a dozen Satudara members entered Nemeland, a well-known bar in Christiania, without displaying their club patches. This bar held deep symbolic meaning. It was here that two Bullshit MC members, including their president Hovding, were gunned down. Those killings had marked the end of Bullshit MC, and the Angels had, with these murders, effectively won the war, and Satudara's presence at this very bar wasn't lost on anyone. The members took photos of themselves at the bar, posing with rapper and Satudara member Amin Kevlar, and shared these on social media. One comment read STTS, an abbreviation for Satudara tetap Satudara. Another said simply 19 everywhere. They soon escalated their message by attacking a cannabis stall controlled by the Hells Angels. The seller was beaten with brutal blows and kicks in full view of all the people present. Following the assault, 17 people were arrested and 20 were eventually convicted, every one of them linked to Satudara. The message was unmistakable. Satudara was staking its claim in Christiania. According to several Danish news outlets, Satudara has now established a stronghold in Christiania and reportedly controls a significant portion of the cannabis trade there.
Man kan ikke komme udenom, at man inden for rockerregi har fundet ud af, at det Satudara har gjort, det er simpelthen den vej, man er nødt til at gå for at holde fast i, hvad man har.
Satudara has expanded so rapidly that it now has twice as many members as its two main rivals, the Hells Angels and Bandidos, forcing the organization to think differently.
Jeg kan godt se det som problematisk, at der er næsten dobbelt så mange Satudara-medlemmer i Danmark, som der er Hells Angels, ikke?
They have begun doing something previously unthinkable, recruiting not only from other biker clubs, but also from street gangs like LTF, bringing in members of various ethnic backgrounds as they strengthen their numbers.
For eksempel får vi på et tidspunkt en fraktion på en 7-8 mand ind ude fra Banditers. Nogen, der har været Banditers side, Hitler og Tito og alle dem der. Det er jeg ikke begejstret for. Vi tager nogle 6 mand ind fra Banditers op i Aalborg. Jeg er heller ikke vildt begejstret for. Og der kommer så også, på et tidspunkt 7 tidligere LTF-folk ind. Det er jeg heller ikke begejstret for.
Jorn Nielsen was a former member of Hell's Angels who was kicked out of the club after what he called a coup led by Svein Svein meets disagreement from the former gang member Aboud Mustafa.
Efter Jynkes udsmidning fra HA er der sket et markant skifte i rekrutteringsgrundlaget, og imponerende mange etniske minoriteter er indtrådt i HA's regi. Så jeg vil mene, at HA står meget stærkere, efter man har smidt Jynke ud.
Check out my video for more on the story of the legendary member Jorn Nielsen. While Nadim was a nomad on the run, he played a pivotal role in establishing new chapters in Spain and Serbia. His influence within the club grew, and he was soon rewarded with a new title. Capitán by the club and its original founding chapter, which marked him as one of the club's international leaders. This is the highest rank attainable within Satudara for anyone not in the club's Dutch mother chapter. Only members of this central Dutch branch can rise to the absolute top, meaning they alone hold ultimate control over Satudara. Nadim had achieved the highest position possible, but from here, his path upward was blocked. According to police and biker experts, this sense of exclusion, where Danes would always be second-tier members with no shot at the top, began to push Nadim and other Danish leaders to rethink their allegiance. Satudara had also seen its power wane significantly after being outlawed in Germany and the Netherlands, its two most influential strongholds. A meeting between Dutch leaders and the Danish contingent was held, though its details remain unclear. Shortly afterward, Satudara Danmark announced their split from the club and the formation of a new group, Comanche MC.
Vi ville simpelthen bare noget andet. Så vi tænkte, nu gør vi det her til det, vi altid selv har ville.
Man styrer tingene fuldstændig selv og kører alle de her afdelinger, som man altså har fået etableret forskellige steder i verden.
Police and biker journalists speculate this was essentially a Danish-led coup, as Danish leaders already managed the Scandinavian chapters and wielded influence in Serbia, Spain and Asia.
Det virker som om, når man betragter det udefra, at det handler ret meget om Nadim Khans personlige ambitioner og hvad han egentlig vil med Satudara i en international kontekst.
With this substantial power base in Spain and Serbia, considered by law enforcement to be key entry points for drugs into Europe, they could bring over a large portion of members into a new club, one entirely controlled by the Danish leadership. Thus, Comanche MC emerged as the world's first Scandinavian international biker club, where the Danes now gave the orders instead of taking them. Members of the new club deny this as their reason for the split, but another possible motive was the looming threat from Danish Justice Minister Peter Hummelgaard. On multiple occasions, Hummelgaard had warned of a ban on Satudara due to the group's entanglement in violent crime and murder. Denmark successfully banned the gang LTF in 2017, and Hummelgaard had since declared Satudara his next target. Although the ban dealt a heavy blow to LTF, most believe the gang continued to operate underground. Comanche MC's colors resemble those of Satudara, and as some biker journalists have noted, the beard on their new emblem bears a striking similarity to the beard of their president, Nadim Khan.
Når jeg kigger på det her som en, der har været dybt involveret i at følge Satudara igennem årene, så er der jo egentlig sådan to parallelle historier. Den ene historie, det er jo egentlig om en bandegruppering, der udvikler sig ret hurtigt over år, og set med grupperingen Satudaras øjne også virkelig har fået succes. De er virkelig ekspanderet ind i det kriminelle marked.
At the center of this incredible transformation is Nadim, who started as one of 3 brothers in the gang, but quickly rose to become one of the most respected and influential MC presidents Denmark has ever known.
Men jeg synes også, der er den her sideløbende historie, og det er historien om Nadim Khan, der egentlig arbejder sig op i underverdenen. Og via nogle rigtige beslutninger og en kynisme og sådan ting, egentlig kommer frem til at være den, han er i dag, og det er altså Danmarks svar på en godfather.
His leadership, vision and resilience helped reshape Comanche MC from a local gang into Denmark's firstborn international motorcycle club. What the future holds for one-percenter clubs in Scandinavia remains uncertain. In 2024, Satudara was officially outlawed in Norway, and Bandidos is currently under a temporary ban, while Danish authorities assess whether it can be permanently prohibited. Justice Minister Hummelgaard has vowed to crack down on all one-percenter clubs, and with the successful ban on Satudara in Norway, it's likely that clubs like Comanche, Bandidos, and Hells Angels are next on the list. As governments across Scandinavia increase their pressure, the fate of these clubs hangs in the balance. It's a pivotal moment for the outlaw biker community, and only time will tell what lies ahead. Remember to hit that subscribe button and put on all notifications so you don't miss my next biker video.